Just Be a Man. Each podcast, we offer commentary from a man's perspective on a range of meaningful topics, such as our world, family, relationships, sex, and much, much more. Our purpose is to impart wisdom to our audience through meaningful and transparent conversation. This program is hosted by 5 brothers from other mothers who have been friends for over 30 years and collectively have over 250 years of experience.
Thank you for joining us. For all you first-time visitors, thank you for spending some time with us. For those who are returning, welcome back. We have a really good topic today. And first off, just want to make sure that you take an opportunity to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Just Be a Man 2020. Also, if you already have a podcast subscription, we are located on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. So again, thank you for joining us, and why don't we get right into it. Today, our topic is punk-ass kids. Punk-ass kids, what does that mean? I know that doesn't really sound that nice, but what we want to talk about is why the youth, as soft as they are today, and why we think there's a problem with that. So let me start by just giving you an example. If you're a man and you're into sports, you'll notice that today, everyone who's on a team automatically gets a participation award. Doesn't matter if they were the star of the team or the last guy on the bench. Nobody's feelings can be hurt. I remember when I was younger and playing sports, only the MVP got something and maybe the most improved. Other than that, you had 25 people who played football that were pissed off that they left with nothing. So when they go home crying or whatever they did, the only feedback they got was, that means you got to work in the off season. So anyway, that's kind of what we want to talk about. So I want to move over to Charles real quick. Charles, when you think about punk ass kids, what does that remind you of?
Well, that actually reminds me of my daggone kids. I have 2 of them living in my house, 2 of the non-bill payers. My 11-year-old twins. They're killing me, man. One incident that really comes to mind was I had these jokers signed up to play county basketball. They show up for the first practice, and the coach has them running suicides. Now, granted, they were only 8 years old at the time, but it was the first practice. I'm feeling proud, got my boys out there. I know they can ball because they've been playing since they were 4 years old. So I get them out on the court. They start running suicides, and both of these jokers break down crying. They are bawling at basketball practice because the coach is making them run suicides. Bruh.
I know that would be crazy.
I know you didn't like that, Charles. Charles is a competitor.
I know, man. What?
Man, you don't know the pain that I felt at that particular point in time. I literally, if looks could kill, both of them boys would have dropped dead right there on that. I was that pissed off.
Crazy.
I was that embarrassed. I mean, I grew up playing sports.
Right?
We're all of that era where we were playing tackle football in the street when it snowed outside.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
We were outside running all day, every day. So you telling me my boys are going to sit up there and start crying over some damn suicides? Come on, man. I mean, that's about as punk as it gets. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay. I'm not trying to raise thugs. I'm not trying to do that. But there's a whole lot of territory between thug and soft as butter.
Hilarious.
They are way towards that soft as butter. I need to get them out of that territory, bro.
What's crazy, Charles, is that their age group and that generation, that's the norm, and that's what we're talking about here today. It's not just. I think when we was growing up, you could see a kid that didn't like to play sports, or you could spot 1 or 2 here and there. But now, man, you talk about these dudes play Madden and think they really play football.
Yes, sir.
Like are you serious right now?
Right.
Yo, Steph, What you think about when it comes to these punk ass kids?
Well, first of all, Charles' story is hilarious, but I can believe it. I mean, I really can believe it. And knowing Charles and how competitive Charles is, I'm sure he was ready to just throw them in the truck and say, y'all ain't getting nothing to eat. I won't hear anything. Matter of fact, I'm going to take your Fortnite away from you until you improve.
Oh, that'll hurt
Don't
him
you
right
ever?
there.
Gotta kill him.
Hilarious.
Absolutely. But anyway, with punk ass kids, I'm going to go a different direction. Um, I see these kids walking around with their pants off their ass, and think it's cool. It's not cool. I see kids sitting in the handicap spot on the subway, and you got women dressed to the T, and they're down looking at the daggone phone and not even paying attention or don't give a damn. That's the thing that bothers me with punk ass kids. Not this generation, but I would say at least 20 years of kids just getting the opportunity just to don't give a damn. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
one. Yeah, that's part of the
Yeah,
punk
it's
ass kid.
crazy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like that the home training, right? So, like you said,
Right.
not giving up your seat to a female or an elderly person, like they need to sit down. These kids, they lazy as I don't know what, kid. But
Wayne,
go ahead.
I mean, what Stefan mentioned, the skinny jeans. Here's the thing I don't understand. Okay, now he mentioned the saggy jeans, right? But these brothers out here wearing skinny jeans that sag off the behind. So I'm trying to understand what they're trying to accomplish, right? Because
Come on, man. Come on, man.
combination between metrosexual and
Come on, man.
I mean, what are you trying to do? I don't get that.
And
What?
I would think they would have learned. Y'all remember when Jodeci got up on the stage and what was his name? Um, I want to say JJ or
JoJo,
anyway, the lead
Devontae,
JoJo, yes, and
Casey.
he had
Casey.
stains in his ass and his underwear on the
Oh,
stage. They should have learned from that right then and there. Don't do it.
damn! I didn't know. I didn't see
Yes,
that one.
I don't remember that one.
I didn't see
yes,
that one,
yes,
brother.
yes. YouTube it. Trust me.
No,
They should have
no.
learned
I
from
always
that.
see the step. I'm not gonna
I'm not.
violate a
I'm not.
man law.
I'm not trying to see that.
Step, I'm
But
not violating the
this is
box. That's a
crazy.
man law. That's violating. Look at a man's, nah, boxing stain. No.
Yo, Chuck.
Yo,
Yo,
yo.
speak on it. Speak on this punk ass kid situation.
Well, you know me, man. I am big on respect, and the one thing I can't stand is, there was when you were a kid, there was that language that you spoke inside the house with your parents and your siblings, and then there was that language you use outside when you with your friends, right? And somehow these kids today have got it twisted, and they think they can say whatever they want to say, however they want to say it, and to whoever they want to say it to. I mean, what back in the day, if we were out in public, we would die before we would curse in front of an adult. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was disrespectful. Not to mention it might get back to your parents and
Ass whooping waiting.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
but these kids, man, they don't care. I mean, I see neighbors' kids, and they see me, and they just, hey, Mr. Chuck, hey, this little, and they just get the cursing, and I'm like, wow, where do they, what are these kids doing these days? But now, now these same kids that are out here in the streets cursing, they cursing at home. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I can't put all the blame on the kids because a lot of this stuff is learned behavior. So
Amen.
right, so if these kids are out here doing it, then more than likely they're doing it at home. So it goes back to home training. The kids aren't getting the same discipline that we got when we were kids, and the same sense of community. I know I was raised by a bunch of dudes in the community who, if they saw me out in the street,
Right.
they'd hem me up, and then they'd take me home just to get hemmed up again. That was the village. We don't
Right.
have too many.
There you go.
We don't have too many more villages nowadays, and
Nah.
it's being reflected in our children. So it's respect for me, brother.
Yeah. So no, I like what you're saying, Chuck. I'm gonna speak on that a little bit, but I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Yo, Mike, tell us your story, man.
Man, let me tell you something. Social media, video games, all this lack of activity has killed the culture of children because they're so soft, man. They cry They like Charles said, they fall out. They do all this stuff because they're not used to this physical activity. But not just that, it's the home training. Like y'all said, the home training, the respect. Yes, no. Now it's like I said something to my son one day. I said, listen, I put the box in the garage, and afterwards I want you to break it down. You understand? He said, oh. I said, what the hell you mean? Oh, yes, Dad. Or no, Dad. What the hell? Yo, it's bananas, bro. I was like, it was so. I mean, I like seltzer. I was about to hit him with one of my favorite seltzers. I was like, man, it highly upset me because for some reason they're not using their brain or their body like they're supposed to, and it's very lackadaisical responsibility. Hey, it's Thursday night. It's trash night. It's Wednesday night. I mean, Thursday is trash day. The guy comes at 7:00. It's Wednesday night. What you want to do? Well, I'll wait till I hear the truck coming, and I'll get up and I'm like, mother, what the hell? I say, yo, where did you learn this from? So I said, you know what? What I did? I waited. I said, you sure you want to do that? Yeah, Dad, I got this. Are you sure? I got this, Dad. All right. Sure enough, 7:03. He got 3 stops. He had the second stop. Mickey. Oh, I said the name. My bad. Time to clean out the trash. Got up. I don't know if you ever tried to run with flip-flop. Fell in the hallway. Damn near fell downstairs. Trying to go to the trash. Get the trash clean out. It just so happens that the dude that does the trash, we know him and everything, whatever. He happened to stop and wait for my man because he saw him all flustered, whatever. But I don't understand how they don't put things together. You give them that opportunity, they don't take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fellas.
And they don't learn from their mistakes.
Right.
Do it. We'll do it again.
You'll do it over and over again if you let them.
What's really crazy is, we talk recently about meeting right around college time, and all of us were right around 17 when we went to college.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know some of us got some 17-year-olds, and I can't even imagine mine on somebody's campus. I just can't even imagine it. I'm like, really? This dude would. I don't know what would happen. So, it's really crazy. But I think I know a lot of people don't really like us making these comments and calling them like punk ass kids or stuff. And I don't want to say who's going to be offended by it, but I think what people are taking for granted is that these punk ass kids are going to become punk ass adults.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
That's right.
That's all. What else can they be?
Right.
So you need some alphas. You need some people who are taking leadership. You want some people who are competitive. You need people who want to be like, yo, I'll do it.
Right.
Now let me say this. Full disclosure, to the people that are listening, we love our kids. All right. I don't want anybody to say, oh my God, how could you talk about your children in such a horrible way? Listen, we're not saying anything that we would not and have not said to our children. We love our children.
Amen.
They know we're doing this, and it's just that. And again, we're not degrading or dogging our children or anything like that. We're simply saying that there's some room for improvement. That's all.
Hey, can I point out something?
Yes,
Okay, this is Steph. I happen to live in a new neighborhood in Maryland, and I observe a lot of things. Across the street, at my 11 o'clock is a house. It's a single mother with a.
He said 11 o'clock. Everybody in military.
Okay, well, just walk this walk with me. We're going to do some land navigation. All right, hold on. So, across the street at my 11 o'clock, there's a single mom, and she has about a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, 17-year-old boy and a 15-year-old daughter. They got this brand new house, beautiful house, but they have lawn care service that comes over. And I'm looking at it like the only time this young man comes out is to shoot basketball, and 1 out of every 10 time take the dog down the street. Yo, you got a 17-year-old, get him a push mower and start pushing the yard. I still push mine. Not that I want to, but it's just something economically. He needs to learn those type of things. So right now he probably doesn't know how to cut grass.
Well, hey, brother, let me ask you a question.
Man.
Yeah.
since you are, I'm stalking. Um, is there a
Oh, I caught it.
no, but look, and not being funny, but seriously, that's a situation where a kid like that may need a male role model or a mentor. Like you said, she's a single mom, what have you, and you may not know their business, and it's like new neighborhood, the whole nine yards. But that sounds like a situation like me when I was growing up. My single parent growing up,
Yep.
my mother. I wasn't doing a lot of grass cutting because she didn't know nothing about the lawnmower and all
Yep.
that. But my neighbors, like I said, back to that village, them jokers, you would have thought they were rounding me up to go to the military. Three jokers coming to my door talking about, hey, what you doing this morning? Eating cereal. No problem. Come with us. you know they like, come with us. They showed me how to start the lawnmower, and if it had some minor issues, what to do and stuff like that, all the stuff that my mother had no clue about. So I'm just putting it out there that that's a good segue to another point, that um, we are in a situation, we are in a culture where there are single mothers with young male children that, through no fault of their own, talking about the male children, they may not have that role model. So if you see a situation like that and you can do the big brother thing, cool. If not, but it's a reality for us.
Yeah,
So I
I
just want
agree.
I just wanted to say that that's just
Nah, that's
I
that's what's
think
up.
I
Good
think it
point.
has a lot to do with enabling too. We enable some of our kids because my
yes,
wife,
yes.
my wife and we look at things differently. I'm straight up. I don't
Hmm.
play around. And when she like, listen, we can talk to them. They'll get it. Whatever. She's more diplomatic than I am. I'm more of the iron fist. I don't play around. I give you a couple of warnings. That's your ass. Plain and simple.
Mhm.
And I think that's the problem. You got kids who have that dual yin and yang they got to deal with, and then you have the
Mhm.
ones who are just raising themselves or whatever, and they don't have that role model. And I notice this a lot at my the facility that I work at. I deal with youth, and you'd be surprised of the subculture within a culture that we deal with, that a lot of these kids don't know how to make a bed. Their hygiene is terrible.
Mhm.
It's a lot of stuff. It's like, yo, man, you make sure you hit your hygiene today. Oh, I will. They purposely we give you everything you need: toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant, you name it. We give it to you in the bag. You got all that. You take it in the bathroom, and you come out, and your toothbrush is not even wet, or your bag. Usually, can tell when somebody.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yo, I said, you brush your teeth? Yeah, yeah. I'm like, come on, man, seriously? He said, yeah, I brush. I said, yo, what's the problem with the, whatever? He's like, I don't know. I mean, it was just like that, like they weren't taught, and they refused to try to accept something new. So my job is to try to help them, learn these new habits, because I tell them, I said, listen, you can't go to a job, you can't talk to anybody with your breath smelling. You got bad breath.
Mhm.
Nobody want to talk to nobody. That's the worst. You know what I mean? Especially if
Yep.
why? Because I tell them, I said, I put it in this way. I said, you ever had that teacher that always want to talk to you after class and their breath is smelling? He's like, yeah. I said, you don't want to be that dude, because that's the worst.
Yeah.
When somebody
Right.
try to break down an algebra problem to you, and you know it's going to take 15 minutes, and their breath smelling like halitosis. You know what I mean? You don't want it, man. You don't want it.
So,
So
yeah,
so, but the way I said it, like, to you guys,
yeah,
and we laughing, I say it to him, make him laugh, because I let him know it's funny, but it's not funny because you really got to handle this business, instead of me
Yeah.
yelling at you saying, "Yo, brush your fucking teeth, your breath thing." I make it a funny, into a little joke or whatever, so he gets it. And then
Yeah.
I think some kids accept it easier than you yelling at them, but there are some that you have to yell at for them to get it.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so I think that's a good point. For some of the listeners to just understand, Mike works with juveniles, so he sees a lot. He sees a lot, and so there's a lot that he has to deal with on a regular basis. And what I wanted to say is that although we call this or titled this "Punk Ass Kids," I think it's less an indictment on the kids and more on society.
Right.
Right? It's like we're really, this is what we're allowing. This is what we're allowing because no one's feelings could get hurt. No one can have a problem with anything. And, it's just one of those things that we want to make sure that we address. So, Charles, what do you want to say about this?
Well, yeah, I think you make a lot of good points, and what Mike said is dead on as far as training them up in the way that they should go. Because a lot of this is what we're talking about is basic home training, right? However, my bone of contention is not necessarily with a child that doesn't know better, but with a child that doesn't have basic common sense.
Mm,
What I'm
mm,
running into more and more is they don't, it's almost like it's very difficult for them to formulate what they're supposed to do in their mind to do basic problem solving.
Right.
Just basic things that we did, growing up. Because again, keep in mind, we didn't have the internet. We didn't
Right.
have a lot of these luxuries where the data is right at your fingertips. We had to figure things out. And what I'm finding is that a lot of these kids don't necessarily have the common sense because they don't have to figure anything out anymore. It's almost like,
exactly. Exactly.
like
Yeah, so you're right on. You're right on. It's because we enable a lot of this stuff. I think Mike said that, or Chuck said that. We enable this activity. We're not really using names here, but I know a 17-year-old, and we'll call him Son for now. And I am a father I'm a divorced father, and so what happens is I get to see my son every so often, and uh, maybe I don't know, a few weeks back. I'm saying this now because it's so fresh in my mind. A few weeks back, he came down, and we spent about a week together, and we're in this situation with the quarantine and everything. And I'm asking him, what is he doing when he's at home? He's it's never nothing, never does anything, right? So I'm trying to get him to walk, you know, 30 minutes. We just walk 30 minutes in the morning before classes start, right? And so the couple weeks back, he was doing it. We did it every other day, right? So then, he comes back just this past week. In the last 7 days, he comes back so wake him up that first morning. We go out there and walk. And then the next morning, I wake him up again. He's like, "What?" I was like, "Yo, we getting ready to walk." He's like, "It's not every other day." I'm like, "Are you serious?" We're not talking about suicides. We're not talking about doing anything stringent.
Right.
We're talking about walking.
Just walking.
Walking around the block for 30 minutes. And he was not happy.
Right.
I'm like, yo, but I'm just saying and I'm trying to explain to him, yo, this is your health. You have to move. Your body has to, this is nothing. Yo, in fourth grade was the first time I played Pop Warner football. Yo, they had us doing suicides like in full gear.
Yep.
I mean, so you have these, I know there's a lot of people like me, you have these memories that's part of working out. That's part of exercise. So that as you get older and you're thinking, hey, I need to get my stuff together, my body together, whatever, you go back to suicides. And now you start running them voluntarily. It's crazy. These kids don't have a point of reference.
Nah.
And to Charles's point,
my pain point.
it does seem like they just don't have the common sense.
Yeah.
It's crazy to where it's almost like, I could tell this dude to put his dishes in the dishwasher, and he sees like like 3 other things in the sink. Like, you think those don't need to go there too?
Yeah.
It's almost like
it's crazy. That's bananas.
It's almost like life is not reality.
Yeah.
That's the way it seems to me. It's almost like life is not reality. It's like you tell them to do something. It's like, oh, it'll get done.
No.
No, it's not how you have to do it.
Yeah, but the thing about it is what I found out is consistency, and I got to hear about it. I heard Dally yelling, "Here come the lifesaver." I call it a lifesaver. I don't know what flavor she is today. She could be the green lifesaver. She could be the red lifesaver. Every time I get on somebody, here she comes up the stairs. What's going on? Is everything okay? I'm like, oh man, here we go with this bull. Here she goes saving them. Why are you trying to save? I'm trying to explain to them, but I'm doing it my way. Like, yo, this is what you're supposed to do. You do it again, then I'm taking your stuff. I'm taking all your shit. And they be like, yes, Dad. But then here come lifesaver. Well, I figure if what you can do is take it, and if he does what he's supposed to do, you can return it. I'm like, where did Mrs. Rogers come from? So,
Hilarious.
I'm about to buy her a sweater or something, bro. Bro, listen. All I'm saying. Listen, I'm saying is that we're too easy on the kids. Society's making it too easy. Like you said, the crying in practice. Like right now, we're in the house with the quarantine thing. The kids got to work out. That's a requirement because they have to do that with school. So Rosie's outside kicking with the soccer net. Mickey's downstairs working out. I'm trying to teach him different workout plans, whatever. he didn't work out today, but they got to work out Monday through Friday. Even if he work out for 20 minutes, I don't care. At least he down there, and they come up the stairs and take a shower, which is very important. Message: you cannot lie about not taking a shower, especially if your underarms is humming.
Right,
I'm talking
right.
about. I'm talking about bologna. Somebody rub some bologna. Somebody rub some salami down with some Vaseline and just left it out in the sun. Yo, crazy. I'm like, yo, did you take a shower? Yes, Dad. I'm like, no, come here, man. Why did I do that to myself? Why
You gotta
did I
get in the
put my
filter.
nose next to his underarm? Why?
Uh-huh.
Maybe I got
Hilarious.
asthma and bronchitis. It was the worst thing ever. Because not only
Crazy.
Aggravated your whole situation, didn't it?
yo, but
Yeah,
listen,
Scott.
but you have
You're
to.
so right. You gotta teach them. You're so right.
No.
You know, my twins got into a fight with each other, right? And my youngest twin freaking scratched my oldest twin. Okay, I was mad. I'm like, that's your defense. Scratch it. That's how you fight. You scratch your brother. So we had to talk about self-defense class, get the boxing gloves, to teach, that method, because obviously I dropped the ball. Okay, if you getting into a fight, a mind-raging fight, and your defense is scratching as a little boy, there's a problem. And I took it on myself.
No,
The problem is me.
that's not yo.
Hey,
No,
Well,
it's
no,
society, man.
hey, look, man. My position is win. I hear
Hilarious.
you. Yeah, you scratch the shit out of, but then you get up and you pummel them.
Yo, so Steph.
And look, and let me
Go
tell
ahead,
you,
Chuck. Go ahead.
I know them two twins. And look, if they're in school and something goes down and they feel like they got to scratch somebody, oh, they're gonna scratch. Now, after that scratch, all right, it's game over. And then look, it's two of them. Oh, you get double the ass whooping. So look, hey Charles, I love you, bro. I ain't giving you this one because look, one of them was trying to win. That's what it was. I think you intervened just in time, brother. That's what happened.
You got a winner on your hands. That's what you're
Man,
saying.
oh man, he intervened just in time because them boys is just like their daddy. They both love to
Hey,
win. Somebody, hey, look, Charles, if you hadn't walked in when you did, it was about to
yo.
go down.
Well, I want to hear from Steph because he got two
Yeah.
young ladies. What's up with Steph?
Oh yeah.
Actually, no. I have to say my girls are completely different, and I guess I'm blessed with that. They've rarely fought, and when they did, it was just they were laying each other out. Now they were laying each other out in German, which is hilarious, and I could pick up on some words. I'm like, oh my god. But no, I didn't have problems with them, so I was really fortunate. Now I did raise a young man who I had him from 13 till about 20, and he was a punk ass kid. But and he
Damn,
had,
man.
yeah, he had
Tell us
some
why you mad,
problems.
Steph.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, he was a punk ass kid on it, as well as he had ADHD, he was bipolar, schizophrenic, a little bit of everything. So I had some problems and with him, but I
He was
was
on the
able
meds?
to. Yeah, he was on meds, but that was half the damn problem because sometimes he didn't want to take them. And of course, that created problems because I knew when he was off his meds. And then sometimes his mother would shield him from taking his meds and things of that nature. So, yeah, dealing with kids, especially not your own, can sometimes be a challenge. And, you just got to be a man and step up. Now, the kid respected the hell out of me because, one day he decided to be a smart ass at the age of 15. And, said, DeVille, I can take you out. I said, look, dude, I'm in the military. I got a knife and I got combat boots and I sleep light. So around 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake you up with a knife around your throat and combat boots. You better never try me. He never did. After that,
Right.
never did.
Hey, look, all you had to do is tell him about your story about drinking that water, running over rocks. Never would have messed with you again, brother. Never would have messed with you again, brother.
The Roddy man hurt on the inside.
That's right.
If anybody listen, if anybody can walk away from anything, fellas, from me dealing with kids from the age of 12 to 17, 18, for the last 20 years, I just keep it fair and consistent. I think consistency is the key. and that's what's going to do it. You got to say stuff over and over, and then so be it. Because you know what, my mother did that to me. Every time I went out, don't smoke nothing, don't sniff nothing, don't, if you about to do something with a girl, make sure you got your rubber. She would say that over and over and over again, to the point where it stuck in my head. So when people start pulling out weed or cocaine back in the day, and they're like, "Yo, you want something, man? Listen, I hear my mother in the background. Don't smoke, don't sniff, because if I find out, I'm like, oh hell no, I'm good, brother. Matter
Mamas
of fact,
back in
I'm
the day
gonna
didn't
go ahead.
play.
You know what I mean?
Mamas
Yo,
back in the day didn't
because
play.
I couldn't think about disappointing her. You know what I mean? I couldn't
There you
think
go.
of
There you
disappointing
go.
her.
I
And
like that.
right. And the kids didn't. The kids these days don't understand that. And when you break it down to them, they're like, "But you know why? Because first of all, some of them don't respect their parent. Some of them are
Mhm.
smoking and getting high with their parents, or some parents just have them kids raising themselves. So we're dealing with, and I tell people, we're dealing with a culture within a culture as far as what they're doing. So when you see those kids sitting down at the bus stop and the old lady standing up and nobody saying, "Sit down, miss," if you get one of those, you'll be very lucky. But they don't know because they haven't been taught, because they're so busy watching the video game, the violence on TV, Word Star, all the other dumb stuff, instead of actually trying to learn some manners or some type of etiquette, how to hold the door, be respectful, stand up, let her sit down. That stuff is going by the wayside, and a lot of parents, need to, like I said, reopen that way of thinking.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff, Mike. I just wanted to, so we still have some time left on this, and I think we have a really good conversation going on. But so we titled this "Punk Ass Kids," but I want to see if we can kind of speak to some suggestions, right? So let's say we got that single parent, we got that single mother, or even that really busy parent situation. What kind of advice do we think we can provide to someone? What would you say, Stefan, is a good thing that maybe a single mother could do with a boy, or maybe a kid that is in a two-parent household, but both parents are very busy? What would you suggest, Steph?
Okay, so my situation, I was surrounded by a good village and in a country town, surrounded by family, and my mother ensured that I was involved in um, farm activities as well as sporting activities, and that kind of helped me. And I stress that the single mothers, don't be afraid to reach out to some of the guys in the neighborhood, or even people at church. You'd be surprised what a young man could
Okay.
learn from people from church, or at least male role models.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's real good, Steph. Thanks. Hey, Mike, what thoughts do you have on maybe some suggestions that people can use to combat this softness?
I think for a single parent, I think it's very important that they stay consistent, and that they build a relationship with their kid and start off with small things and then work their way up to the big things, to give them one responsibility and then work their way up to more responsibilities. Don't overwhelm the kid because they're trying to do everything. But if they can accomplish that one thing per day, per week, and then add on to it progressively, I think that would help. But the biggest thing is communication. That she stay in contact with all these social media being able to talk on the phone, the iPad, the laptop, whatever. The consistency is the key. So be consistent with what you're doing, your check-ins. If you're checking in with your kid 3 times a day, continue to check in. All right, because kids watch those things and they look for signs of weakness or to break off where they can take advantage of whatever, not on purpose to do it on the purpose, but that's how kids are. They're always going to challenge the system. So you just have to be there for that. But you just have to make it where, like my mother did, she gave me responsibility and I had to own up to that responsibility by the end of the day. By the time she got home at 5 o'clock, I had to make sure I did what I was supposed to do. So I think she stayed in there with the consistency, but also with the threats. My mother had a problem with threatening me or hit me with a shoe or whatever was nearby. So I didn't want any of that. After a couple of broom handles and lemon juice bottles, you good. You good as far as that. But as far as the dual parent and they're very busy, now you got a double team. The same thing, consistency, double teaming. You're never if you're working that much, but you got time to eat, you got time to call your kid, you got time to follow up to see what's going on. you got time to do something else. You know what I mean? So if you got that break, or if you got that time to, like I said, if you got time to eat, you got time to call to make sure that not only are the kids on the same page, but you're on the same page with your wife. You know, and
Good, good,
my
good.
mother was a big advocate of writing notes. And guess what? She put the note right on smack in the middle of the TV. And guess what? It needed to be done by the time she got home. Deuces.
I got you. Hey, Chuck,
Yes,
what
sir.
kind of advice would you provide? What do you think about some things that can help these kids get out of this funk that they in?
Organized activities. Back in the day, again, I was raised by a single parent, and it was I was in sports. I was in after she put me in after school programs. She made me join clubs. Nowadays, these kids, you ask them or tell. Well, that's kind of the problem. We ask
Yep,
them to do things. Hey, would,
yep.
would you like to? And instead of no, you okay? When this summer, when school is out, you're going to summer camp. You're going to, and yeah, I didn't want to go to summer camp. And I think my parents ended up sending me twice. First time, absolutely horrible experience. Horrible. I'm not gonna lie. But I was, now that I'm older, I realized that I was introduced to things that I would not necessarily have been introduced to: horseback riding, archery, nature stuff, all that kind of stuff. But my first experience there, I got into a fight. It was ugly. I never wanted to go back. Whole 9 yards. All right. But I went back again, had a better experience. I was kind of familiar with some of the stuff that was going on. I wasn't the newbie. And I can engage in conversation with the folks about different stuff because I had experienced it. So you look back on those things now, and I learned some stuff. So, for these kids, they're not being challenged. They're being raised by social media. They're being raised by the media. Parents aren't engaging with their kids. In this world, in this economy, 2-parent household, even in a 2-parent household, both parents are working. Back in the day, a lot of
Yep.
times it was just pops was working and moms was home helping to raise the kids and stuff like that. The family dynamic has changed. We've I'm not saying we've gone backwards, but I'm not saying we've gone forward either, because look at the kids. They're suffering. They're not doing, like, I mean, they're not progressing like we did. If they don't have um a vision, they don't have a drive. It doesn't seem like they, for the
Uh,
most, not all kids, obviously, but it just seems like this generation isn't as focused as our generation, and even our generation looked like we weren't focused to our parents. So to me,
of course,
it seems
of
like it's
course.
getting progressively worse. And then I look at some of the stuff that our kids are looking at, man. It's just the most self-destructive shit ever. Excuse my expression, but people praise people like Mona Scott Young, the creator of, was that Love and Hip Hop and some of these
Yeah.
other reality black TV shows and stuff like this. And the format's all the same. It's starts a mess, get a whole bunch of people involved in your mess. Let's fight about this mess. How can we make money fighting over this mess? And it's just, that's what people have come to. If you want to be seen differently, you need to change. If you want to be viewed differently, you have to change how you're seen. Did you understand what I mean?
I got you. I got you.
And
So
but you
yeah,
don't
no,
have those positive images, and those not the lack of positive images and role models. All that stuff is being, that's what our kids are seeing. And
yeah.
we as parents, we got to step up. We got to step up.
Okay. All right, Chuck. I like that. I mean, imagery is really important, right? And with social media being at everyone's fingertips, you can see things that you have no idea what your kids are seeing and at what age they're starting to see that stuff. So
Right.
yeah, it's tough. It's not, you know, not blaming anybody, but this is the reality that we have, and so but we still need to do something about it. Charles, if you want to put in your 2 cents on some potential fixes, I guess, some things that can be done to kind of improve the situation.
Yeah, I'll touch on that, Wayne. I think the goal, or at least my goal, is self sufficiency. I have a bunch of non bill payers living in my goal is to get them to the point of self sufficiency. I want them to be able to leave my house and know how to communicate, know how to manage money, know basic life skills, how to cook, how to clean, how to fix things, how to problem. And I think a lot of that comes from communication, which has been stated, knowing, who they are, what they're getting into, who their friends are, asking them questions, having them sort of walk you through scenarios so that you can know exactly, or at least you have an idea of how their minds work and how they, problem solve, in general, and just continuing that open conversation, continuing to challenge them, continuing to ask questions. And I think by doing so, once they reach that age again, self-sufficiency, at least you're walking away feeling good, like they can survive, they can get out here on their own, and they can figure things out.
Yeah, I like that, Charles. And you know what?
Good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, what I would say to everyone who's listening is that I think that the people who there are a lot of people who are working on trying to improve the situation, and I think a lot of people are doing their best that they can. But the reality is that you still have to interact with those out there who are who are raising themselves. So yeah, you can fix everything you can in your house, and you'll do a good job with that. But you still got these people that are out in the street that you still got to interact with on a regular basis that won't give up their seat to a lady, stuff like that. So I know my situation is not uncommon, but maybe a little bit for this call it is. So as I said before, I'm divorced, and so I don't have my children. I have a son and a daughter, and I don't have them often. But when I do, I try to do things that I can, I'm trying to help that situation out.
Yep.
But again, prior to this current situation, my access was 48 hours at a time, every other, so you don't really have a whole lot of time. And so I bring this up only because I know there's other people who are in a similar situation where they don't have access. They see something that they don't like in one of their children or some of their children, but they don't really have the ability or the access, I should say ability, the access to help make that change. So, hey, I think we had a really good show here. There's a lot we can continue to talk about here, but I think the ideal is that we have to be good parents, and we have to help people who are challenged being a good parent. We need to help them be a good parent. I think Chuck used the phrase a village, and that's something that you hear all the time. But we can't just write them off like these kids. We have to kind of like reach down, mentor. I think I heard on this as well, and just say, you know what, hey, you'd really help your moms out if you cut the grass, and if you need a mower to borrow, you could borrow mine, kind of a thing. And so those are the kinds of things that maybe we can do in our immediate neighborhood or places that are really close. So guys, I want to thank everybody for a great show. Is there any final comments, any things anyone would like to say to our guest?
I would like to say that I know there are people out there, families, there's single moms, single dads, dual parent households that you are raising great kids. But my thing is that have them prepared, because they're not going to see or interact with a whole bunch of, they're going to interact with some people, but there are going to be people out there who are going to try them and test them due to the fact that they've been taught, the different mannerisms and things that they're supposed to do. And what I've learned is that consistency and lead by example has worked for me in my household, but it also has worked for me at my job, where kids watch you. Your kids watch what you do. They watch how you interact with your wife, and the kids at the job see how you interact. And the thing about it is, leading by example and being fair and consistent for me has helped me, and I think it'll help a lot of kids these days, with all this social media crap, how to focus on themselves so they can survive in this world.
Okay. Hey, Mike, appreciate that. Hey, thanks everybody again for a great show. Thank you for listening to us. Again, this is Just Be a Man. You can find us on social media at Just Be a Man 2020 on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter. And please listen to our podcast. We will be posting a new podcast every Friday, and you can find us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. If you don't have either of those, we are also on Spreaker. So thanks again for joining us, and you guys have a wonderful evening.
Deuces.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Just Be a Man podcast. Be sure to check us out on social media, where you can subscribe to our show and or leave a comment. We will love to receive your feedback. Also, remember to tune in next week for more meaningful discussion. Until then, we wish you peace and blessings.